Look at the bravery of this individual. See, Muslims are brave, really brave individuals. There's an individual, mashallah, he comes to me today at Jum'ah, that he was in the circles, and it was mentioned in one of the circles that was held about an individual called Fudayl ibn Iyad. Sayyidina Fudayl ibn Iyad. Fudayl ibn Iyad, one of the great imams of the Salaf, huge imam from the Salaf from the 3rd generation. Really great. Somebody who Allah Ta'ala granted one of the greatest tawbah, repentances in history, because he was a killer, a highway robberman, and his heart turned, totally turned, as he was in the midst of robbing. His heart turned, and he becomes one of the greatest imams of the time of Malik and Layth and all of them in that 3rd generation, radiallahu ta'ala anhum. And he was somebody who had great fear of Allah Ta'ala and aesthetic, and he used to live, we talk about Uzla, hubbiba ilayhi al-khalwa. And likewise, in the hadith, he took to seclusion, and he used to live in the midst of a ma'sada. What's a ma'sada? It's like the jungle that is surrounded by lions. In the midst of a lion pit. That's what he used to live, surrounded completely by lions. Fudayl ibn Iyad. So it's problematic if he wanted to visit him, but because he was so great, he was sought out. I mean, you mentioned great ahadith like the Imams of Layth. If you study fiqh, you would have heard them in Shaykh Osi-Efa class, the like of whom? Layth bin Sa'id, the likes of Sufyan ibn Uyayna. These are the greatest Imams at the level of Abu Hanifa. Mujtahids had their own schools in the formative period of Islam. And they would be carrying Fudayl. They say at the Kaaba, Fudayl would be lying with his head in the lap of Uyayna and his feet on the laps of Sufyan, Layth of Layth. How great he was, like they were like his servants. It's Fudayl ibn Iyad, real great individual. Took to seclusion in the midst of what? Of a forest. So people, because he was great, they would risk their lives just to go and see Fudayl ibn Iyad. Arabia used to be inhabited by lions. The Arabs have over 300 words for lion inside of their language. Tells you that they experienced a lot of them. The ancient Arabs used to wrestle them. Rites of passage, you had to go out into the desert and wrestle with lions, or you weren't a man. That's part of your rites of passage, becoming a man inside of Arabia. So they used to go to Fudayl, and after Fudayl, they would sit with Fudayl, and then they would leave, but they would come running back quick enough, quick fast. And Fudayl said, "What brings you back so quickly?" They said, "Lions." I know Tariq. There's lions out there. We just met a whole heap of lions. Fudayl would walk out of his house. This man, mashallah ta'ala, he would walk out of his house, and then the lions would be standing, and he'd walk up to the lions, grab them by their ears, and say, "Didn't I tell you never to threaten my guests? Didn't I tell you that?" And the lions would all just leave, never threaten my guests again. That's the people. And when they said to Sayyidina Fudayl ibn Iyad, "Kayf yakhafuk al-asad?" Why does a lion fear you? He says, because when we feared Allah, creation feared us. But when you feared creation, then khalas, you were placed in your own predicament. That's the nature of the great individuals. And the hadith in the Sahaba, Safina, Mawla Rasul sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, an individual called Safina, he's a man, he was really, really strong. They called him Safina, which means the ship. It was a laqab. He could carry great loads upon his back, Safina. Prophet sent him on a mission to the south of Arabia. When he comes out, from the south of Arabia, they're lost in the midst of the desert. Ma'sada. What happens? All these lions appear. What does Safina do? He says, "I am Safina, Rasulillah, the messenger of the messenger of God. We're lost." That's what he says, we're lost. How do we get out of here? Hadith Sahih from Safina. And he said the lions turned around, motion, and they began to trot. And he just followed the lions with his companions until they got out of Dodge. That's the nature of the people. An individual today, so somebody mashallah became Muslim not too long ago. So he heard the story, so he decided to test it, to see where his iman is. The beauty of people who become Muslim, Allah bless, yani. They just khalas, they hear something, that's it, they gotta be like that. So he says that he cleans, he's got a mobile cleaning firm. So he was out cleaning a car in Liverpool. He said he was cleaning a car, washing a car. And then he's telling me today at Jummah, and he says that a man comes out. I says, "What are you doing?" And he says, "Cleaning cars." And what does it look like I'm doing? He said, "In front of my house." He said, "It's my job. It's your neighbors. I'm cleaning a car. I've been called out to clean cars, to valet cars." He said, "Not in front of my car. Move your car." He said, "What do you mean?" "I mean, move, go clean it somewhere else." He said, "No." He said, "Well, I'm going to give you 5 minutes. 5 minutes or I'm coming out with a dog. You know, Liverpool's famous for his dogs. So he's like, do whatever you want. So he says, the guy goes in, and the other guy who's working with him, he says, I'm a Muslim. We don't fear anything. So he says, we don't fear anything. If he comes out with a dog, I'm going for the dog. That's what I am going for the dog, is what he says. So he says 5 minutes later, you know, in the dog, he comes out with this huge pit bull crossbreed. Comes out, and he says, I ran straight up to the dog and said, me and you now. Me and you. Let's go right now. Me and you, I'm ready. He said, I didn't even look at the man. I'm threatening the dog. And the dog began to cower. He said, began to cower. He said, come on, me and you to the dog. And the dog was just cowering. That's what he said, just cowering. Allah bless him. And then he looked at the owner and said, never again threaten me. Don't ever try and threaten me with a dog. And the man just moved out the way with the dog. That's belief, isn't it? That's belief. Allah bless.